Oof, computer lagged right there, but it's Sunday, guys. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for being here. It was a big weekend. New York Comic Con took place this weekend. There was a lot of fun things that took place. And of course, some of those books that were exclusives at New York Comic Con are already selling on the secondary market. So we'll take a quick look at some of those. But we also have a very special guest tonight. Before I introduce him, because he is beyond special to me, I just want to give everybody a very quick update of what's going to be happening on this channel. So, very quickly, next Sunday, you've got Hood Rat, who is currently at New York Comic Con, who's going to be hopping on with me. So, Hood Rat Comics next week. And then following that, we've got Cliff. Yes, Cliff, New York, baby, NY. He's going to be hopping on the following week as well. So, keep an eye out for those two shows. Those are going to be some fun little hangouts. But tonight's guest, like I told you, very special to me. In fact, one of the first people that was so welcoming to me within this community, so to say. Dude sent me one of the first AOK. I didn't even know what an AOK was. And let me tell you, he set the bar so high for everybody after that. He sent so many cool books, but it was just so welcoming and became a good friend. So, guys, without further ado, Mr. Vancouver Comic Junkie, Chris, how's it
BC, how you doing, pal? I'm doing good.
Good. I'm gonna be honest with you, and it's something that I told you even within our conversation. I was like, I want you to hop on. Like I've been wanting to ask you, but you've been collecting not just comics, VHS stuff, right? Sealed VHS.
I have.
Yeah,
I have.
you have some near you.
I do actually. In honor of Friday 13th. Here's Friday 13th Part 1 with back
Beautiful.
watermarks.
Jeez.
So Halloween.
I love
back
it.
watermarks. And this is my big coup de grace, as they say. I've got this is one of the earliest prints of The Exorcist with sealed on the side. These are really impossible to find. I've never seen another one. But I've got the actual first print of The Exorcist sealed.
Look at that.
From 1978. This is rare as hell. This might be the only one.
Insane.
I don't know. When I got it, I lost my mind. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that.
And you said it still has the watermarks and stuff like that.
Well, this one's so old they didn't even have watermarks yet, but it's in the original plastic. Yes, so
that's awesome.
I've been around the block long enough to know what it's what. So
yeah,
I'm getting those. These are all going to CGC in about probably about a month.
So that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing. I had absolutely no idea that CGC was doing VHS, stuff as well.
Oh yeah, I got one right here.
Oh, dude, what in a 9.2? Look at that, a beauty.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Yeah, sorry about the light, but yeah, they're cool, man. CGC does VHS tapes.
That's awesome.
And I got two in 9.2. I'm pretty stoked.
There you go. Congrats on that one. But like I said, I saw you falling down this rabbit hole of VHS tapes, and I was like, I don't know.
Rabbit hole.
I was nudging Newbie. I'm like, is he done with comics? He's like, no. This guy is just doing his thing. But we were actually joking about the whole Pete Davidson thing, right? There's a video that.
It's got crazy too because Pete Davidson, he showed up on what was it, Tonight Show, and he just admitted that he has like 5,000 VHS sealed tapes and he's obsessed with collecting it. It's been crazy on eBay. Like 1 million people went on there and just bought everything, and they're buying stupid stuff. It'd be like if you went and bought just random modern books for no reason. Like they're buying anything, and it's pretty. I don't know. It's a burp. We'll just say that.
So would you say that we went through comics within the pandemic, right? Hitting crazy numbers. We were talking briefly on this a little before starting the show, but the VHS right now, it seems that there's a bit of a craze. Even cassettes. I'm seeing cassette tapes.
Cassettes for sure. VHS already had, actually, to be honest, it's a great time to buy. And I'll tell you why. We went peaked out last summer, just like comics. And it's actually quite low. You could buy tapes that for $500 for like $200 right now, even less. Nice. It's actually a really good time to buy. I would say. I think they went too high last year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I hope they go up. To be honest, I've never had more fun collecting anything since I was collecting Bronze Age X-Men. It feels like that. It feels like I'm collecting my childhood again. I enjoy that part of it. So,
Of course, and I'm watching others go down other rabbit holes, video games and so forth, like Newbie, Justin, Nemesis Prime, and many others.
Video games. Yeah.
But yeah,
Are
then
you into games or anything? You buy? I would love to buy games, but I don't need any more rabbit holes. There's too many.
yeah, exactly. So to be honest with you, I still have all my video games. I've never sold since I've been like playing video games as a kid since the first NES
Wow.
Nintendo. I've never sold a single thing. I've held on to everything. I unfortunately had to share it with my brother, right? So he's got some at his house. I've got some at
Yeah.
my house. But
Yeah.
did we take care of those boxes? No, we played the hell out of those games.
Yeah.
So the whole collecting side of that just is non-relevant in this
Yeah.
household.
At
But
least you have fun. That's all that matters.
yeah, exactly. Thank you so much again for hopping on. Now we spoke Pete Davidson. I'm curious. I imagine he probably outbid you on several of those,
Oh,
or
I
you maybe
guarantee
outbid
it.
him.
Oh, I actually think I know whose account he is, based off of some conversations I've had with some other VHS collectors.
There
But
you go.
but I won't be saying that publicly. But it
No,
is
no, that's
there's
cool.
somebody who's just been buying everything. Let's just say that
Yep.
they're
But
aggressive.
yeah, so you've got a very impressive VHS collection, and of course comics. Look, the beauty's right behind you. Comics. I think when I came into the hobby and I saw you keep posting all these awesome books. So guys, if you haven't already, definitely go check out Vancouver Comic Junkie on Instagram. Some of the best collections I've ever seen, whether it's VHS or comics. Mostly VHS though. I gotta say, I've never seen any of these these movies.
Oh yeah, I've been posting a lot. I promised everyone I'll get back into comics again. I am into comics still. I'm still buying. I
I
just
know.
don't. I've just been in a phase. It's a
Yep.
phase. It's like my goth phase in high school.
You
Not,
went
not
through
that
a
I went.
goth phase.
I didn't actually, but it's like that. Or
I'm trying to
parachute pants.
I'm trying to picture you with the eyeliner now at this point.
No.
But all right, Chris, thank you again for hopping on. Now, of course, we're going to go through the FLC picks of the week selected by Left Arrows, and of course, market report. New York Comic Con took place this weekend. There's been comic news that came out of there, some other stuff, but a lot of the comic exclusives already started hitting the secondary market. So we'll take a quick look at some of those, not all of them, because I imagine we'll see a lot more this week on some of the top 10 lists and so forth. And it was filled with foils. I mean, a lot of people have been making fun of it from before the con even took place, but there were some other nice exclusives there as well. So we'll touch on some of those. And shout out to the Pressable Defects, who had a beautiful book available at their booth as well with Very Gary, Erod, and so forth. So shout out to them. But of course, there's also Hot Topics. There's been quite a few hot topics, man, that took place this
Ooh.
week. Yep. So we'll get into all of that. Before we get started, I got to ask you, you watching Loki season 2?
Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely. It's great. I love it.
There you go. So far from what you're seeing, you're excited for you. Do you have any idea what you think might be coming? Are you anticipating something huge for Loki? Like this is now
I
season 2. So
I gotta be honest. I stopped anticipating a little while ago, and I stopped trying to predict. And I'll tell you why, because I was starting to look at them as a vehicle for spec, and that started ruining it for me. So I
yeah,
think I didn't like Moon Knight as much as I probably could have, because I was waiting for that next thing. And I think a lot of people have ruined the shows because they were specking on them.
true.
I know we're a small little group, but that's how I was doing it, and I'm just watching it to watch it, and I'm loving it. It's
Yeah,
really great, and I just look forward to. Do you know what I liked about the first one is it actually had a story that was related to moving the MCU forward. Like
yes,
it brought in Kang, and that's a huge deal. And
yep.
I don't feel like anything else in Phase 4 has done that to very much of a degree. That was like a major plot point, and I look forward to another major plot point in this show because
Yeah.
they seem to do it on the first one. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yep. Spot on. Same here, man. And of
Yeah.
course, moving the needle, right? We want to see where it's going to take us moving forward within the MCU. But I'm enjoying it too. It's a great show, so I'm looking forward to episode 3 this week. But
Oh yeah.
all right, before we get started, let's say hi to the chat. Let everybody know we see them. And of course, Spinetix is in the house. They had a killer show. Sith, my man, was crushing it last night. I maybe shared a little too much info with him. So if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, go catch that replay. That's right, my 10-second brother. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, Michael Baker's in the house. Michael Baker, of course. Not only do we go through some of the top 10 lists, but a Baker shaker. That's right. We have some Baker shakers, some books that Michael Baker and myself discuss. And one of them actually sold right before this show. I would say maybe about an hour and a half ago. And Chris, I shared that with you before starting. Very impressive sale. So we'll talk on that one in just a little bit. But Shop's in the house, man. Shop's doing some cool things on Instagram. If you guys aren't already, go follow him. He's got some great artwork, and hopefully I get chosen as one of those characters he's gonna remake in Halloween form. So not sure. Venom's in the house, a fellow local Montrealer, my brother. Go check out his channel. He just launched not too long ago as well. Constantino, I believe, is in your neck of the woods, if I'm not mistaken. He's out west, right? Yeah, in Canada. So yeah, there you go. So Constantino, appreciate you swinging by. Bird's in the house. Yeah, Ferdy, man, I know you're always keeping an eye out on what's happening on the secondary market. So guys, he also puts out great content. Go show some love. Neighbor to the north, starting to post more food than comics. I think we're opening a restaurant soon. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. But appreciate you being here, bro. Lefteros, my brother, of course. Unfortunately, I'm going up against him in week 7 of my NFL fantasy league. So tonight we're friends. Next Sunday we'll talk again and we'll see by then. But Nick's in the house as well. Nick, appreciate you being here. We got infamous Jeb, yes, a guest a few weeks back on the show, and somebody I love hanging out with, man. This guy brings the energy to another level. So appreciate you being here. JF's in the house, brother. Appreciate you swinging by. Yeah. Another one that I believe is in the, I want to say the football fantasy league or NHL fantasy league. I can't remember which one, but friends tonight, maybe enemies tomorrow. Dagger Cards is in the house. Dagger, appreciate you being here. Nemesis, another one who was at New York Comic Con. I hope he wore his shades because those foils were blinding from what I'm understanding. All right, who else we got here? We got Trev in the house. Trev, guys, don't forget to go check out Trev. He goes live at 10 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So immediately after the show, head on over and go show some love. Chris, you know this guy, Kamikaze?
He's okay. He's all right. Yeah, I gotta dig him. He's all right.
There you go.
Kamikaze, man. Q, he's the coolest guy.
Of course.
I love that guy.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you sharing on Instagram and also being here in the chat. Got North 49 in the house, man. North 49. Definitely appreciate you swinging by tonight. I think I got pretty much everybody. I got Wes over here. Yeah, Wes. Yo, study. Don't worry about this show, man. Catch the replay. It'll be here for millennia, hopefully. But all right, Chris, let's get into it. We're going to do some of the FOC picks of the week. So before we get started, I got to ask you, are you ready?
Yes. Yes, I am.
All right, so FOC picks of the week selected by Lefteros Comics. If you guys aren't already, go follow him on Instagram. And of course, get your orders in with comicnation.us and use discount code BLACKROUND for an additional 5% discount, totaling your discount to 20% off of cover price. So, first book on the list, Chris. The Deviant. Yes, now apparently James, it's not pronounced Tinian. It's not James Tinian. I forget what the actual pronunciation is. But Nemesis Prime shared a video, and I think it's like James Tinyon. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. We're horrible at this. I'm horrible, at least. Yeah. But anyways,
it's all about the work anyway.
Exactly. But described as a pitch black holiday horror story, so that's pretty cool. A book I might pick up. I think this one's interesting. What do you think of this?
I'm gonna pick it up. You know me, I love the horror stuff. So yes. I'm not picking it up to spec on anything. I don't care. I want to read it. I think it's gonna be good.
Of course, Brian LCS, appreciate you swinging by, guys. Of course, go get your votes in for the CBCA awards, man. The Comic Book Community Awards. Sorry, those are wrapping up within a month's time, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. All right, moving on to the next book. Look how badass this is. That is like a Doctor Doom dinosaur going off over here with Doctor Doom riding him right there. Look at that. But Fantastic Four. Yeah, Fantastic Four 13 cover depiction of Doctor Doom riding a dinosaur version of himself by Alex Ross. This is a pretty interesting cover, man.
I think I have to own that.
You have to, right?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Like, I wouldn't slab it or anything. I would just put it up, like, on the mantle, above the
Yeah,
fireplace, make it even more awkward.
yeah, totally. But I mean, the 12-year-old in me, that's like the ultimate comic cover ever. Like that
Yep.
would be as good as it got if I was 12,
Yeah, there you go.
and I
Look,
still am mentally.
Dino Doom.
I know, dude. That's
This is
cool.
something I've never heard of, but this is pretty interesting. Now we've gotten other, the Spider-Man character. We got Spider Rex not too long
Yeah.
ago. So I don't know if
What do you
this is
think of that kind of stuff? Like, I all these like they're just like trying to figure out some version of Spider-Man, like any version they can come up with. We'll make him a dinosaur. I love it. It's
Yep.
it's still fun. It's fun.
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty badass with the hood and the mask. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
all right, moving on from this one, we've got the Immortal Thor issue 4 now. Solicitation states there will be a summoning of the Four. So this is pretty cool. I don't know if you've been reading it.
I haven't.
Ewing's doing a great job. I think the first 3 issues have been pretty good. But there is another cover that is pretty neat, and it's the 60th anniversary cover. I forget who had done it. I really like that cover as well, so I'll be picking this one up.
I don't think I'll pick it up, but I respect it. I love Alex Ross.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not? The guy's still killing it in his 60s. It's amazing.
Yep,
Good for
exactly.
him.
Wait, hold on. Alex Ross is in his 60s? I didn't even know that.
I imagine he would be. But I mean, he was a huge hit like when I was in high school, like when I was in junior high.
Jeez. Well, there you
So,
go.
and
Yeah.
I'm old as shit. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, you're
that's all
not.
there's. I'm 50.
But all right, moving on from this one. Now we've got Patrol Head. So this is issue number 1, cover a post-apocalyptic series about an obsolete robot and a 12-year-old girl. This is an indie book coming out by Image. I'll be honest with you, not too appealing to me. So I just
Yeah,
might pass on this one. I don't know how you feel.
I'd buy this collected. This is the kind of thing I probably won't pick up. Yeah, I like reading it as a story.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how I feel.
there you go. But all right, next book. This seems to be one of the bigger ones on the FOC picks from this week, but you got Star Wars Visions, Peach Momoko cover number 1. First appearance of, I'm gonna say Hancock. That's what I'm thinking it is. I don't want to mispronounce it, but
Yeah,
yeah, man, pretty
I
interesting.
I gotta say something that's gonna piss off a lot of people. I don't really like Peach Momoko.
Same.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, I'm
wow.
not.
'Cause I take shit for it all the time. I'm like, I just don't. Looks like
No,
watercolors, and I don't know. It's just it never really grabbed me. So
no.
it's just not for me.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Chris, I say it pretty often how Momoko is more of a hit or miss. I mean, she does have some covers that are like okay, but majority of the time for myself, it's a miss. I know
Yeah.
there are diehard Momoko fans. She did
Oh
handle
yeah.
herself very well last year. I
Oh
believe it
yeah.
was at New York Comic Con with the whole incident, but
Oh yeah.
otherwise, when it comes to her art, not the biggest fan.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I'm happy for the people that like him. So I mean, there's people out there who don't like Bernie Wrightson. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
is there anything special about? We should ask Justin. What's Hancock?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I'm not following any of this, but I know Justin was in the chat not too long ago. Maybe he's
Yeah.
got a little more information, but just putting it out there as
Yeah.
Lefteros is first appearance. So
Oh
pretty
yeah, if
interesting.
you're a Star Wars diehard too, it's like if I was, I would buy this in a heartbeat. I'd probably buy 10 of them. It's it seems
Yeah.
like a pretty good buy, right? If you grab
Yep.
onto that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. You heard it from the man himself. It's not going to
There you
be close.
go.
There
Justin
you go.
knows.
If
He's the
anybody
man.
knows, it's him. It's him. But all right, moving on from this one, we've got Transformers number 2. Now, Chris, I love everything that's happening with the Energon universe. So, solicitation here states that this issue, features a surprising first Energon universe appearance. So, I'm picking it up automatically. I'm getting the cover A and the cover B with Optimus on it.
So you're reading the new Transformers, like all the
Yeah,
new
I'm
stuff.
reading this Void Rivals. It's been awesome, man. I've really,
Really?
yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's pretty cool, and there's a
I
lot more.
pick up the odd one here and there, and I love it. You know me, I'm a huge original series fan, and I'm trying to get a lot of
Yeah,
them in 9/8. But and GI Joe, because GI Joe's my team. But this I might pick this up. I've never even seen it before.
yeah.
That's how much
No,
I've been following Transformers.
so yes, now Transformers is on over to Skybound. So this is pretty interesting. The Void Rivals story itself has been awesome. And given that you're a GI Joe fan,
Oh yeah.
you're gonna want to hop on. Is all I'm gonna say. I won't
Okay,
spoil
I'll check
anything
it
else.
out.
There you go.
I'll
But all
check it
right,
out.
yeah. Some little honorable mentions here. You've got the Virgin variants for Conan the Barbarian #1. This is going to a fifth printing. Imagine that. Now,
Really?
yeah, I had no idea this even made a fourth or a third, to be honest with you. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and then you've got a
That
Vecchio variant. Yeah,
that Doran cover is pretty nice. That Virgin cover.
yeah, it is.
I, wow. Huh.
Yeah,
Man, I tell you, when I was a kid, like Conan the Barbarian was the biggest thing. Like in the 80s, it was
yeah,
so big. Yeah.
yeah. Well, there was also, Conan being part of Marvel and so forth, no longer the case. So I'm
Yeah.
not reading any of this Conan stuff now moving forward. To be honest with you, even with Marvel, I didn't care much. I mean, Savage Avengers was pretty cool, but
Yeah,
otherwise
that's true.
not interested. And of course, Dark Ride #9. This is the Vecchio variant, pretty neat cover, but I lost interest in Dark Ride very quickly. I think it was a short ride for myself, to be honest with you. I think by issue, I think it was two. I was like, nah, wasn't feeling
Really.
it. Yeah,
Eh,
and
they all can't win.
yeah, exactly. And Superior Spider-Man is gonna be kicking off. So you got issue #1 here. You got with the Scotty Young variant. Now we all know Scotty Young covers do very well within the secondary market. So I think it's worthy of a pickup. Pretty neat cover as well. And you also have a Scotty Young foil over there for Zawa #1. This is the local comic book store day foil variant. So I'm gonna pass on that one, but Superior Spider-Man, maybe
I think
biased.
we both agree they're great covers, though. Like
Yeah,
both of them are great. I
they are.
love Scotty Young. He's such a unique person, and artist. I would go broke going after every cover if I had to try and collect
Oh,
everything. Because I
for
mean, doesn't he have like 15 covers a month somehow? It's
He's
crazy.
somewhere along those lines. I actually have a book coming back from the Scotty Young signing that took place at CGC, so I'm hoping it's a Mega Man 1. So I'm hoping
Really?
that one comes back in a great 9.8, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. But guys, of course, those were the picks selected by Lefteros Comics. So do yourself a favor and head on over to comicnation.us and get your orders in using discount code BlackRound for an additional 5% discount, which would total your discount to 20% off. And of course, support Lefteros. Go check him out on Instagram and go visit coverprice.com. That's right. Our boy is writing articles for Cover Price on New Comic Book Day and FOC selections of the week. Not bad. We made it
Not
through.
bad.
Made it through. But
As a team,
this is an epic team.
teamwork.
But we have to go through some of the market sales. Like I said, some blew my mind, especially the one that took place right before showtime. I really made that slide. I had it ready because we were watching that sale as it was getting closer to due date. And the bids went bananas. So we'll go over that one. But market reports. I gotta ask you, Chris, again, are you ready to go through this?
Hell yeah!
There you go. Let's do
Let's do
it.
it.
Right, it's that time. My favorite stuff. So, market report, of course, books that I've selected through CBSI's list, cover price, and obviously verifying through eBay, Go Collect, and so forth. Even Key Collector, all of the sites available to us. But some books didn't make any lists. In fact, this is just me checking eBay with, of course, Michael Baker, and he's got 2 Baker Shakers for tonight's list. So let's get into it right away. So, Chris, look at this one, Transformers #1. We spoke Scotty Young, but he had an exclusive on his website, and it was starting at $25 US, and this was limited to 1,000 copies. You could have gotten a regular trade cover for 25 US, could have got a signed copy for 35 US. There was even some CGC pre-sale ones and so forth, but raw copies on eBay right now for this are going for 200 Canadian dollars, and a signed copies at 300 Canadian.
Jesus,
Nuts.
that's the cutest cover ever, by the way.
It
I
is.
have to say, it's super cute. But that's incredible. Wow. So, is there multiple sales in this ballpark?
Yes, there is. So, in fact, when I was putting the price together, I would say the honest price is about $204 on the raw,
Yeah.
not signed. And there's multiple sales that took place, and that was just within this week. And raw
Wow.
signed copies Yeah, 300 Canadian dollars. So it's pretty impressive. It looks like Scotty Young teamed up with Michael Bay on this cover, but
It does. It's
it's
pretty
an
great.
awesome. It is. I remember seeing it available. Somebody had shared it, and I was like, I think I'm gonna order it off the website. Now I went on the website. It was in the cart, and just like every other time when I try to order anything from the States and I see the shipping to Canada, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna
Yeah,
pass.
it's always insane. Yeah, it's nuts. You should get an over border mailbox on one of the border towns. It'll
Yeah,
save you a fortune. But
maybe
saying that, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say maybe we need a over the border friend here. Not gonna point anybody out right below you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, with Scotty Young covers, is this a situation where everyone goes crazy, spends a ton of money, and then like 8 months down the road, we're picking this up for like $45,
Uh,
or do they hold their value? I don't know the Scotty Young
so
mark.
most of them do hold their value.
Good,
Of course, they don't do this along the way,
of
but I
course.
mean, a book of such here where it's limited to 1,000, and of course, Scotty Young fans are diehard. Of course, I personally wouldn't go out paying this money because it does not appeal to me at a $300 or $200 price range. I was holding back and resisting on just the shipping price of like 30 US dollars. So just just to give you an idea, but I think this one has longevity. I think it's a beautiful book. I think it's a very nice cover, and of course, Transformers One. It's the first one with them under the Skybound company. So who knows?
Wow,
Yeah,
I think it's the coolest cover ever. I kind of want one.
yeah. There you go. Don't get crazy and sell a VHS for this one.
No, no.
No, never, never. But yeah, man. So Baker Shaker, number one. Now stay tuned for his other one because that's pretty impressive. Like I said, but this coming out of New York Comic Con. So Department of Truth number one. Now we've heard some stuff about Department of Truth. There's been a lot of possibility that it makes it to Netflix and so forth. It's supposed to be a TV series. I have no idea what's happening at the moment. It's been very hush ever since. But the New York Comic Con exclusive, which was apparently limited to 500 copies, is selling raw. This is a high sale that took place on eBay for 341 Canadian dollars. And raw copies are selling at approximately 205 Canadian right now on the secondary market on eBay. Nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't have this myself. I'm a huge fan of this series. Like I've read it, all of it, and I love it. I actually I would consider paying that for that book. I'm sure if I looked hard enough, I'd find something cheaper. But I think it's awesome.
It
I
is.
I love it. So I don't know. It's I think if you're a fan, you should get it. But what do you think about specking on like a Netflix TV series?
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not the biggest fan, so we'll take some perfect examples here. We'll take Old Guard. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that one, when I was, falling into the Old Guard hype train, I picked it up relatively cheap. I think I picked it up for like $8 back in the day, and then I ended up flipping it at its peak. But then once it hit Netflix, just like almost everything else happening right now,
Yeah.
tanked, completely tanked. And I don't think, unless it really becomes such a success on the scale of like Stranger Things, which it totally has the potential. I think Department of Truth is one of those indie books that is just absolutely incredible, very X
It's
Flat.
really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's excellent. I could see it being like the next X Files if
yeah,
done correctly. But
exactly.
they rarely are done correctly. So it's always
Yeah,
like I would buy it just because it's such a cool comic.
yeah,
Genuinely. Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, neat. I love it.
I agree with you. Now, Department of Truth, just because we're on the topic of it, like you said, now we look at Netflix and Stranger Things is coming to end, right? Like this is done for Netflix. I think after that, they need their staple, right? What's going to
Oh
be their
yeah.
big thing? And I think, what's got potential is definitely Department of Truth and Something is Killing the Children. I think those two have the biggest potential.
Well, if they put the kind of money they put behind Stranger Things into these, oof, they'd be
Yeah,
pretty. They spend so much money on those shows. So
exactly. Exactly. Hood Rat, fresh out of New York Comic Con, man. Appreciate you swinging by. Get home safe. I know you're traveling very far. You got to take a flight. I don't know if you're flying out tonight, tomorrow, but be safe. And we'll see you on this show next Sunday. Andre is saying, great show, great host. Appreciate you, Andre. Appreciate you swinging by. But this may be the most slept on indie now. There you go.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were saying you're a fan of GI Joe and
G.I.
so forth.
Joe.
Yeah,
Man,
but
I
look at
want
this.
it.
Duke #1, because yes, Duke is also going to Skybound. Sorry, Image. This is the Ashcan that came out this weekend at New York Comic Con, and you know how people get when it comes to
Oh, yeah.
Ashcans, but available at the Energon Universe panel this weekend. So this one was released. Now I know that Hood Rat, who is here in the chat, is actually giving one away on his Instagram. So if you guys aren't already, go check out his Instagram, go follow him. You might have a chance to grab one because raw copies are going for 135 Canadian. Pretty impressive.
Jesus.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
seems crazy.
yeah.
But the thing, I don't know. With Comic Con releases, sometimes you hit big on these things, and then sometimes everyone spends all this money. Because I bought a bunch through a friend of mine out east, and he was in one of the cons. I forget even which, and I think it was like $200 I sent to him, and he bought a
Yes.
bunch of stuff for me. I'll tell you, I think those are worth about $8 now.
Yeah.
The stuff I bought, and I'm like, God damn! But saying that, just as a cover, I love this. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And we did get some Transformers Ashcans as well that came out around at San Diego Comic Con. So if you missed on those ones, I mean the cover was totally different from what we actually ended up getting when Transformers 1 came out. But I agree. I think this is a neat cover. Especially the Ashcans, being a little more sought out after.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
definitely.
ash cans are cool, man. I like ash cans in general. So
Yep.
actually, I got a cool ash can.
You're gonna pull out an ashtray, aren't you? Oh,
It's
let's see this.
Omega issue 0,
Oh,
issue 1, and it's the first appearance of Faust. Like
nice.
it's he's kind of like a Crow character, but he's like a triple X rated Wolverine actually. But this is a hard to get book. It was only limited to 1,000 copies, and they were all
Jeez.
signed by Tim Vigil. This
Now
is issue.
you picked this
Sorry.
up recently?
I have like 4 of these.
Oh,
I pick them
geez.
up whenever I see them, because I think Faust is going to be like the Crow. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned the Crow because we're going to be talking about that very shortly. But Lefteros is saying in the Energon universe, the G.I. Joe and Cobra do not exist yet. Looks like the organizations will be founded in the Duke and Cobra Commander solo books. And yes, that's right. Like I was telling you, especially being a G.I. Joe fan, with everything that they're putting together here, we also got the Cobra Commander #1 Ashcan that was available at New York Comic Con this weekend. And this was also available at the same panel. Raw copy for this sold for $163.91 Canadian this weekend on eBay. So pretty interesting.
very well. If you get the first one, you got to get this one.
Yeah, I mean, you want the Duke and the Cobra Commander. You gotta get both, man.
They're gonna look beautiful on the mantle.
Right? Right?
I dig them. I think they're cool. Who did the art on the covers?
I actually have absolutely no idea on this one. And yeah, no, I don't think it says.
It looks like Tim Sale, but he's dead. So
Yeah, doubt it.
I
Doubt it
doubt it
was
was him.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So I just think, like you said, these are great pickups if you were available. If you were capable of swinging by the Energon Universe panel and had the opportunity to get these, I think I would hold. I'll be honest with you. I mean, that is not chump change. I think $163 for something that was pretty much given to you.
Yeah,
It's hard to not want to sell, but I'd hold. Yeah. But all right.
Uh,
Let's shy away from some of the New York Comic Con stuff and let's get into some other books here because Cover Price had this one coming in at #8. We had Batman 609. So this is the first appearance of Thomas Elliot, who later goes on to become Hush. It's not within this issue. So we see Hush in full gear afterwards. I think it was 619 or 615, I want to say. Sorry.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but CGC 98 sold for $175 and the near mint face market value is $39. Now, here's something that obviously, there was a time where this was starting to pick up a little more because of Batman, right? The movie that came out with what's his name from Twilight. I just had a blank on his name.
Yeah, I know.
You know
I
who
know
I'm
what you're
talking
saying.
about. Yeah,
Yeah. Twilight guy.
Yeah, but which, by the way, I thought the movie was absolutely incredible. But we have
Good. Me
seen,
too, man. I thought it was awesome.
yeah, dude, it was one of the closest to Detective Batman I've seen in a long time, right? Like ever.
I know, it's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, man. So there's been hints that Hush is going to be making his way very shortly. So a lot of people now flocking to this. Yeah, Robert
Well, and
Pattinson. Sorry.
there's another angle to it too. It's so apparently with the like the way the DCU is coming out, there's gonna be two Batmans. There's gonna be like a Brave and the Bold slash like superhero Batman, and then the Batman that we saw as Robert Pattinson is gonna be his own universe, kind of
Yeah,
floating around on his own. So
yeah,
there's like a lot of opportunity for all of these characters to come in either one.
yeah.
There's only so many characters. So I don't know. I actually, to be honest, I am very into DC like keys. I think they're all super undervalued. All
Yeah.
of them.
No, they are,
Especially
and they go for super cheap.
oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd pick up all this stuff. Yeah.
I'll
If you
be
find
honest
it
with
cheap,
you.
buy it.
Yeah, Chris, I always see the entire run for Hush available for dirt cheap at one of my LCSs. It's like they always have them in stock for some reason. I don't know if it's because they buy collections and this happens to be there all the time, but
I would
it's
imagine.
always yeah, it's always available for very cheap. You can get the entire run for maybe $5 to $10 a copy.
And right now is a great time to pick this kind of stuff up because there's a lot of people are selling right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they blew their credit cards out over COVID,
Yeah.
buying everything. And so
Yeah.
they're trying to pay off those credit cards. And and you'll see a lot of this stuff floating around. They're selling it for dirt cheap.
Yep.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm thumbs up.
Yep.
That's all I say about this.
Yep. But moving on to the next book, Spawn 1, which blows my mind how just relentless this book is. It never disappears from the list. But number 2 on cover price, yeah, it's making its way back to almost number 1 at this point. The first appearance of Al Simmons, Spawn, and CGC 98 sold for 180 US dollars. Near mint face market value 29 US dollars. Now, Chris, before we start talking about Spawn himself, are you a
Yeah.
gamer by any chance? Do you play video games?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So recently we've had Spawn make his way to Call of Duty, the current
I
Call of
saw that.
Duty,
Yeah, that's awesome.
right? Pretty
Yeah.
neat. Now,
Yeah.
would we say that this maybe, got people flocking to the book and bumped it to number 2? Who knows? But what I do know is that this book is always either in the top 10s, maybe in the runner-ups, making the top 20, but this book is, like I said, relentless, always there. And of course, I figure by now almost everybody owns a copy, right? If you're a comic collector and you don't own
Or
this
10.
copy, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm old enough to like this came out when I was in high school, and I remember a guy who was older than me buying this by the box, like the Diamond or whatever the distributor was. He was buying them by the box, and he must have had 1,000 copies in his basement.
Yeah.
And I bet you $1 million are still there. But I think the reason why we're the Call of Duty is the major reason. Like Todd McFarlane knows how to promote the hell out of everything. And I
Dude,
noticed whenever he goes on some interview or something, this book all of a sudden goes into the top 10 again for no reason.
yep.
But I will give it credit. It's like 180 for a 9.8 US. You know, it is keeping its value. Like it hasn't really lost value since COVID.
Yeah,
In fact,
exactly.
it might be higher. That's actually incredibly impressive.
Yeah,
Considering
for
everything's
Spawn.
lost about 40 or 50% since COVID. So
Exactly. And it's not the first time we've seen Spawn within video games. I remember being in high school and I was playing Soul Calibur and he was an exclusive character. I believe it was on I want to say it was on the Xbox or PlayStation. I can't remember, but it was Soul Calibur. I can't remember which one it was, Soul Calibur 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it
yeah.
was. But regardless, I remember seeing Spawn on there and I was like, oh wow, you know what I mean? Like kind of new, right? I was younger back then. I didn't think I would see a comic book character such as Spawn within a video game, but look where we are today, now making his way to Call of Duty. So that's pretty cool.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
I still think it's awesome that people give a shit about Spawn #1. I think
yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah.
there you go. But all right, moving on from Spawn, this is the one that just I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. Yeah. Are you leaning over to Yak?
Well, I was leaning over to grab like 15 copies of it that I found in my storage locker. I just don't know where they are.
I figured, but Dazzler number 1, of course, all the Taylor Swift buzz has got this holding the number 1 spot on cover price now. CGC 98 sold for 258 US dollars. Again, that's absolutely nuts in my eyes, but a VF face market value 15 US dollars. And this is a book I have passed on. Well, I have a few copies, but I mean, I was
Well, you're
still
almost if you buy comics, like you somehow ended up with one of these in your collection. Like
right.
it just like there was a time this was given away in collections. Like, yeah, I bet you I have 25 of these somewhere. Like I
Yep.
know I have 15 over here, but I can't believe how expensive they are, which is kind of great. But I don't know. I'm too lazy to get them CGC'd.
It's one of my least favorite covers ever. It's like
Oh, really?
yeah, I'm
I
just
have to
I'm
say, I
being
kind of dig the cover just because it's different. I mean, it was different in this day, but like, yeah, I think all this news about Taylor Swift playing Dazzler,
yeah,
it's if it's even remotely true, like if it is true, it's literally going to be like Brad Pitt in Deadpool 2.
yeah,
Like he literally turns up for like 3 frames in the movie. You
and
know?
that's it. Yep,
Yeah, I think it's going to be like that. Yeah,
exactly.
but
Now,
all the power to it. I mean, I hope everyone sells their copies and makes a fortune.
exactly. Yeah, of course. Now, Chiapet's saying that her concert is selling tickets for $1,000, which is nuts. Now, not only that, apparently she released something in theaters. I think it was like a live concert or something in theaters,
Oh yeah,
and
it's huge.
it
It's huge.
generated like $94 million in a
I read
weekend.
I know it's crazy for a concert film. I was reading. I think it's they're expecting this new tour of hers to make 4.5 billion with
That's
a
nuts.
B.
Yeah, that's
Good.
nuts.
Hey, she's good. She's talented. She's
Yep.
cool. It could be worse people.
Yeah, of course. No, I agree, and she's easy on the eyes. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Hey man, I wait till Kim Kardashian start like enters the MCU. You know that's gonna happen. Everyone's gonna lose their minds.
I think
That
that's when
that's when
every
we get mad. You don't get
yeah.
mad at Taylor Swift. You get mad at Kim Kardashian.
I was just gonna say that's when everybody unsubscribes from Disney Plus.
Exactly.
But all right, moving on from Dazzler. This is interesting. So Amazing Fantasy 1000. This was the D23 100 years exclusive, and this was limited to only 25 copies. Now, from what I've known, apparently there was no previous sales. Now, this one hit the market, and a raw copy sold for 3,810 US dollars. This came onto the cover price shaker list, and rightfully so. That is a big sale.
This is everything you want in a comic, though.
Yep,
It's
it is.
like it's got multiple massive collectors behind it, Walt Disney collectors, and also Spider-Man Marvel collectors. It 25 copies. Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
Yeah, not
And
many.
it's fairly modern. Yeah, I think it's a great cover. I would like to see that colored, but wow, that's a lot of money for that book.
Yeah,
Good for them.
I've seen the colored one. I would definitely prefer it. Now, there's a lot more copies of the colored one that are
Of
out there,
course.
but of course, it's still not that many.
What's
Um,
the colored go for?
I remember at one point seeing CGC 9/8 hitting about $1,000.
Wow.
Yep.
Huh. It's a great cover.
Yep, and some people I know here, friends of mine locally that are collectors, were saying that their goal was to get a copy. It is considered a grail for them,
Yeah.
because of everything you just said regarding the cover of the book and how it's everything you want. You got Disney, plus you got Spider-Man, and of course cake.
Yeah.
Everybody wants some cake, right?
Oh yeah, everyone loves cake.
That's what everybody wants this book for. But yeah, not paying 3,800 for anything wrong. Nothing, nothing. Um,
I wish I could say the same. I've accidentally, well, not accidentally. I've been forced into having to pay that around
yeah,
that for a bra once, and it
exactly.
was the most nerve wracking experience of my life. And thank God it paid off.
I'd have such yeah, well, exactly. Thank God. I'd have such a hard time with a raw copy at 3 grand.
Oh,
One of my cousins actually picked up the first appearance of Punisher, and he paid a couple thousands for it in a high grade raw. And I was like, dude, like you could have gone for whatever, but I'm
yeah.
sure if he gets it graded, I saw it. I think he gets at least a 9.4. So just
Whoa, really?
yeah, yeah. He picked his cherry properly there. That's all I'm gonna say. Lefteros,
Wow.
appreciate you. Yes, 20 in here. Only 8 likes. What's going on, guys? We're slacking. Hit the like button. But all right, Chris. Next book, Elektra 3. Now, Marvel Knights was a great. I don't want to say the best time to read comics. It wasn't. It definitely
It was
was.
pretty good though. It was
Yeah,
a
they
good
were
time.
good. Yeah, they were
Yeah,
good. But this one here was recalled because Elektra appears somewhat nude within this one, and a CGC 9/8 sold for 405 US dollars. Cover price shaker. I'm not too sure how many exist on the census, to be honest with you. Not something I checked prior, but $405 is pretty impressive for this book, because otherwise I don't think there's anything important
I
about the
don't
book.
know. There isn't at all. But nude Elektra, I mean, you can't argue it.
Yep.
Yeah. But I imagine there's more out there than people think there is. There's just nobody's looking that
Probably.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't. That's a lot
yeah.
for that. Yeah.
Yep.
I guess completion. Who's buying this? Perverts?
I guess I have no idea. To be honest with you, I didn't even know that there was.
Like, think about this. Like, you get $400 can get you like a really nice Silver Edge key right now because prices have dropped. Like, you can get some
Significant.
crazy Silver Edge keys for $400. So I don't know. I mean, I guess what I'm paying attention to is different.
Yeah. Well, look, Marvel Knight stuff. I didn't read much of anything related to Elektra at that point, but there was a lot of other titles. Daredevil, Spider-Man,
Punisher. The Punisher stuff
was
was crazy.
insane. It was probably
Yeah.
some of the best. But yeah, Elektra, I had no idea, so I didn't even know that there was a recall due to nudity. So just thought it would be interesting to put this on the list. And of course, if you're into that, definitely that right there. Yes, go and
I know Michael Baker is.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I'm just
100%.
kidding.
But all right,
But
let's move on to this one. Now, this is a fun book. I actually own this book in a pretty decent grade. Marvel Team Up, issue 11. Dude, a CGC 9.8 sold for $830. This made the cover price shaker list, but there's only 15 9.8s of this on the CGC census. So just to give you an idea, I don't imagine that this has many 9.8s or high grade copies out there, because every copy I've come across was beat to shit. In fact, when I did buy the copy I own, I made sure, again, pick up a copy that I thought was a higher grade, but a 9.8 is pretty impressive to come across. So $830. What's your thoughts?
that cover is killer for one. That's like the Bronze Age just on the cover. It's I love it.
Yep.
But I gotta say, there's a guy on Instagram named Comic Citizen. I'm sure he's out of Toronto, and he's a friend of mine, and he exclusively goes after oddball like Bronze Age titles and tries to get 9.8s on them.
Yeah.
He's been very successful. And one thing I've noticed is he could turn a book into, like, just getting a 9.8 out of some random book that has 4 on the census or 2 on the census.
Yep.
The value of some random book could be like $4,000 and you wouldn't even know it. Like, it's kind of insane with the stuff he's found. So I think this sounds about right.
Yep.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? That is a great idea on his behalf, because I think, like you said, coming across some Bronze Age books in high grades like 9.8s is just pretty much almost impossible. So many of these have been through the ringer and back bins and so forth.
But it isn't too. And if you go hunting enough at cons and stuff, you'll see them randomly here and there. And you're never going to go out looking for this book, but you're just going to go looking for high grade books of the era. You'll dig up stuff, and it'll be cheap, like $10, $12, and that's when you score it. So
Yep, exactly. Before we move on to the next book, just want to give a quick shout out to UniX in the house. Uni, bro, I was watching that game. My heart broke too, man, with that kick. That was brutal. But San Fran is gonna do their thing. I know they're gonna do their thing. It's San Francisco. They can't go wrong.
You also can't forget Dan De La Torre. He's awesome. He's a great guy.
Yeah. He's got a whole debate going between Bronze and Silver Age. If you mislabel, he will kill you. Like, he does karate. You don't mess with him.
What's your theory? My theory is Conan the Barbarian was the beginning of the Bronze Age, and that was 1970.
You know what? I think that's fair. I think that's more than fair. Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
But all right, moving on from this one, classic book. Those old covers rock. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is a Romita cover.
It's gorgeous.
Yep.
It looks like
all right,
Romita.
Let's move on from this one. Muppet Babies. Yes, my kids watch the hell out of this, and it drives me nuts. But there's a comic collector that really wanted this one, because Muppet Babies 10 sold for $660 in a CGC 9.8, making the cover price shakers list. Now, this has the 25th anniversary themed frame going on over there. We saw many covers of such. I think there was a total of 48, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that,
Yeah, so Muppet Babies. Now, I guess maybe it's a little more scarce. I have no idea, but a 9.8 and this one sold for that much. And yeah, man, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this.
I have thoughts on this. Yeah. So I, when I was a kid, like pretty young, this came out. It was for the 25th anniversary of Marvel Comics, and I remember all my friends and I thought this was the dumbest looking thing they could have done, but whatever.
Yeah,
And I never really collected them. I didn't give a shit. But in the '90s, for some reason, I got some bug up my ass to collect the hard to find ones because they were really hard to find. I love finding tough to
yeah,
find ones. I discovered all the Star comics are really tough, and so I've randomly picked these up over the years, and I have like 3 copies of this. One maybe a 9.8, but the others are like 8.5s and 9.0s. This is a really hard book. This and
yeah,
Heathcliff. Heathcliff is really tough.
yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
So yeah, I think it's cool. I get why. Actually, I'm surprised it isn't more. It's really that tough to find.
yeah. Well, knowing that you might have a 9.8 there, I think you know what to do next, sir.
I think so. I'm actually really kind of shocked by this.
Yep. It's a pretty impressive sale. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, my kids, Muppet Babies is still ongoing. They do it even in animated forms
Oh
and
yeah,
so forth right now. So it's.
yeah. My
I,
kids
I
love
thought
it.
I thought there was news that may have broken, right? Like Muppet Babies. I don't know. It's coming to the MCU or something. I'm like, what? What was this sale? And lo and behold, the
It's
story
come to the
behind it.
MCU.
Like I don't. I was like, this is the only thing that I guess makes sense. But no, this is actually a very scarce copy to find. Like you said, this book now, the 25th anniversary themed frames. There was like 48, I believe.
I
So
think it's in that ballpark. Yeah.
I think if you want to collect them all,
Well,
you
that's. I remember years ago, people were selling all of them, like all these issues in one bundle on eBay, and they
yeah,
were getting like $200, which to me was amazing. I couldn't
yeah,
believe like people were selling them for that much money, but now it seems like they were getting quite the deal. So
yeah. But all right,
wow,
let's move on from the Muppet Babies, and we're gonna head on over to Wolverine 88. Yes, this one makes its way back, but this is a newsstand deluxe edition, making the cover price shaker list, and a CGC 9.8 sold for 1,700 US dollars. Chris, I've come across this book many times in bins,
yeah,
$10,
yeah.
but I would never have imagined that it reaches this level of coin.
Me,
Yeah,
I think this is crazy. I think it's lunacy. This thing was probably printed in the, I'm guessing, 400,000 to 500,000 copies. Like this
yeah,
was a big book back in the '90s, and so it might be less than that, but still, it's around.
yeah,
But and I love the cover, but I just can't figure out these prices on this book.
yeah.
Yeah, this is weird. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Now,
But
of course,
hey, if people are happy, whatever.
yeah. Again, of course, the Hugh Jackman news, Ryan Reynolds, and so forth. Probably, a lot of eyes on this one here, but it's a pretty heavy
So
price tag.
So this book is so you know how like Hulk 340 is like a Wolverine key,
Yep.
McFarlane did it. It's a cool cover, obviously, and that's like and it's only got value because of the cover. No one gives a shit about that book,
No,
and
exactly.
I think this book is that for the '90s essentially.
Yeah.
It's just the '90s version of that book. So I guess long term it's probably a really good buy.
Yeah, and I think it's a great comparison to Hulk 340 because again,
Yeah,
nothing matters within that book other than the cover.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, so I told you guys we had another Baker Shaker to go over. Now, this sale took place right before we went live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. In fact, I think the sale closed at around 6:30, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So I'm going to put it up here, but this blew my mind. Chris, the Crow #1 in a CGC 9.8 sold for 7,600 US dollars. It is a Baker Shaker for tonight's list, but 72 9.8s exist on the CGC census, 61 of them being universal. There are some other ones as well, including signed copies and so forth, but 7,600 US dollars in a 9.8. And no, I'm not lying. Here you go. I put it up here. So as you can see, this one ended. There were quite a few bids on here as well. You got 43 bids. So very impressive sale.
Yeah, yeah. I tell everyone who asks advice from me about collecting like comics to try and make, like a lot of people are trying to make some money or just buy stuff that will hold on to and their investment. and I tell everyone buy first issue independents from this era, like from about 85, well, the 80s and early 90s, and most of them are quite cheap. Obviously not this one, but this book, like in a 9.8, like a few years ago, was nothing. Like no one gave a shit about this book.
Yeah.
And the kicker is, I was able to pick it. I have a 9.2 of this, and I think I have a raw copy somewhere. But it's incredibly difficult to get in high grade because of the all black back cover and front cover. It's and it's a gorgeous book. Like you want that when you see it in person, you want this on your mantle. I get what it was just a matter of time, honestly, for this book to go up to this price. The kicker is, it's not the first appearance.
Nope, it's the
first appearance
solo.
Yeah, but the first appearance has a really shitty cover. Like it's just not a good cover, and it's worth money, but it's not. It'll never be worth like this. Like this would be a great first appearance. So, but there's so many like independent first appearances. Excuse me, I have a cold, and that are out there that you can get right now in dollar bins. Like just it's crazy what's out there. A lot of video game stuff like that's hit up too, but like this stuff, some of this stuff's really hard to get.
Yeah, and of course there is news, that's been circulating for God knows how long that the Crow will be back and rebooted or so forth.
Well, they filmed it. They've actually filmed the new one, so I think it comes out next year.
Really?
So, yeah, it's probably a good time to sell this because actually, I wouldn't buy this right now. I would buy this at the end of next year. Like the movie's going to come out in say May, June. Wait 6 months, and then no one's going to give a shit about this book for about 3 years. But what I mean by that, it's probably going to sell at $5,000, next year, which is a pretty good price. So
save that 2,600 US is what he's trying to tell you.
Essentially, yeah.
But guys, that was the market report. Now it's funny you were talking to the Crow, and you seemed to specify a time frame on that coming out. Now we're going to be going through some of the hot topics here, and of course, for those of you who don't know, Chris, you do work within film.
I do.
Exactly. And you recently went through some of the stuff that's been going on in recent times with strikes and so forth. So this will be a fun time now to get some of your perspective, which I'm very excited to hear. But I imagine, we'll get into it, but it must have been wild. And props to everybody for coming together and holding the fort for the writers and actors and everybody, man. So we'll get into all of that. But unfortunately, Chris, before we even start, I got to ask you for the last time tonight, are you ready?
Hell yeah.
There you go. Let's do it. I feel like it came from like the gut. It was like, oh yeah, it was there. It was there. There was balls behind that one.
Well, that guitar solo is incredible. I could listen. I want that to be my alarm when I wake up in the morning.
Jesus, you might fly out of bed if that's the case. But all right, let's get into some of the hot topics rather quickly. So first and foremost, CBCS reveals new labels at New York Comic Con, and this has been seeing some mixed reactions. So as you can see here, you've got some of the labels. You got the signed copies, the yellow labels. You've got the regular blue label. CBCS, I know people feel a certain way. And before we get into any of that fun stuff, I just want to give a quick shout out to Mighty Comics and Collectibles on Instagram. Because yes, he posted these pictures, and I definitely want to give credit where credit is due. Now, you're looking at it rather quickly here. You can see on the left-hand side, the yellow labels. You see how we get to a 9-9, the number changes to a blue, and then we get that 10, that nice little black background on that square, or so to say. I guess we'll call it a square. With it looks to be, that little goldness going on. Yeah, it's nice.
I want it now. Yeah,
it's nice. There you go. See, we got some more over here. Pretty neat. Here's a little more of a close-up here when it gets to the CBCS label. Again, mixed reactions so far. And here's another example. So, look. Go ahead.
I have thoughts on this. I think they obviously made this so that because there's a lot of Aspergery OCD types in comics, probably myself included, that don't want to have a CBCS next to a CGC. They just can't get their brain around it. And now this is allowing it to look a little closer. Because it does look like, outside of the gold, it does suit they kind of lean towards each other. But
Yeah.
one thing that CBCS has always done wrong is they've always looked like they used Photoshop in 1992 and then printed it off an inkjet printer at home.
Yep.
It's just the shittiest, lamest logos. And and it's a little better, but they're using like a printer from 5 years ago. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
They're never going to be caught up. They're never like if they just keep just never. I feel like they just don't try very hard.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand where you're coming from. Now, look, I'll be honest with you. I do own some CBCS slabs, and
I do too.
I do think this is an upgrade from what it was. But
Oh, hell,
does it get to another level where I'm like, oh my god, this is gorgeous. I absolutely need this? No, I don't feel that way. In fact, when it comes to grading in general, as long as you are grading my book correctly, I'm okay with either company. And just a quick shout out because Dan Torre is in the house. I know he's a strong believer behind Tony at EGS, and apparently EGS is a very tough grading company. In fact, they take their time and go very thoroughly through books. So shout out to them. But CBCS, I mean, I almost feel like their grading is, I want to say, consistent.
oh, I think it's very consistent. I think they're excellent graders. They just don't know how to market themselves, and and their slabs are really good. The new version of their
Yeah,
slab that came out a year or two ago,
yeah,
I
dude,
think it might be better than than a CGC slab even.
I
But
agree with you. Solid.
I think they're gorgeous, and they don't have like a blue tint or anything. They actually you can see the book clearly
Yeah.
through the plastic. But yeah, these logos, man, they've had this problem since day one. Just yeah, it is what it is. I know that there's a reason for it too. They want you to pay attention to the book and not the label.
Really?
That was the original intention, from what I was told. I think Steve Borak told me that.
Yeah. Well, in a 10, I think they're taking the eyes away from the book. I'll be honest with you. That's pretty
I agree. It does
pretty
look cool though. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it does. Now, look, again, like I said, I'm not one that goes bananas or gets gung ho over like, oh my god, this one looks terrible. It is unfortunate that CGC does dominate the market, in a sense of, you want to buy a CGC or a CBCS on the same grade. A lot of people will flock to the CGC one because on the aftermarket, yes, it does hold more value, and it to some, I guess, they think it just is more appealing.
Want a
So
great deal though? Buy a CBCS.
yes,
Yeah, it's the way
yeah.
to go.
Yes, you're not wrong. In fact, I've seen a lot of books sell for even cheaper just because it's in a CBCS casing. Some people even crack it and send it in, right?
Oh, yeah.
They just
I wouldn't know those people at all.
yep,
I do it all the time.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly. But all right, moving on from the CBCS news. So you were talking some of this a little earlier. The DCEU, yes, Justice League characters reportedly recast for James Gunn's new DC universe. So we were talking two Batmans. Now it's looking like all of them are going to be completely recast. There's even talks that Jason Momoa is going to be making his way even into the new universe, but this time as a Lobo, which
Is perfect casting in every possible way imaginable.
exactly. I'm all for that, right? He
Yeah.
literally just you just got to give him a little makeup and the guy, and throw him on some of the attire. He's Lobo 100%.
And
But
more
yeah.
roids. We need more roids.
Yeah, of definitely
Yeah.
need more roids. Like he's pretty jacked though. We got to give him credit. But
Yeah.
now the whole recasting. Everyone feels in limbo, especially now with Aquaman 2 making its way out. It's kind of like none of this shit even matters anymore.
It doesn't.
But yeah, Gal Gadot's come forth saying that there's a Wonder Woman 3. Then she's not going to be in it, but she is going to be in it. So news is all over the place. But it is looking more and more like there's going to be a complete recasting for these characters right here. The Justice League looks like maybe just Jason Momoa makes his way forth. So, what's your thoughts on this?
I think it's great. I think they need to, I mean I think they're in a moment right now because the Marvel universe is kind of fucked the dog for the past 3 years and paid attention to everything except for the stories.
Yeah,
That I think they have an opportunity here to possibly re-envision everything and really compete with them for
yeah,
the first time. And yeah, I think it's great. I'm actually excited for DC again, but I feel really sad for anyone who worked on Aquaman 2. It just feels like they're putting it out just because it'll be meaningless in about a year.
yeah.
It feels sad for them. So
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
this is another thing here is that, except Peacemaker, which is John Cena, Harley, Waller, and Gunn's wife. This is great news, but shows a bias on Gunn's part. Should have been everyone. That's something I got to agree with here. So, Katie's in the house. K-pop junkie, guys. If you aren't already, go sub up, go show some love. She was just live a little earlier. So yeah, man, go sub up, sub up. But I appreciate you swinging by. All right, enough DC talk. Let's get into some MCU stuff now. This hurts, man. The Marvels pre-sale tickets are apparently tanking. Tickets for the Marvels went on sale Tuesday, and the pre-sale numbers aren't looking too good. In fact, it's been reported that ticket pre-sales are less than a third of what Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was, which could mean the movie would open to less than $39 million at this pace. That is absolutely brutal. Brutal.
I say good. I think they need to have a real true flop. I think that Marvel needs, Ant-Man and the Wasp. What was it, Quantum Mania?
Yep.
What it didn't do well, but it still made like hundreds of millions of dollars. I would love to see this make 60 million. Even though actually I like the first Captain Marvel. I didn't dislike it, but it doesn't look good. To me anyway. It looks like a bunch of green screen fights,
Yep.
and I it doesn't look like a movie. Well, it's just not for me. They're not making this movie for me, so I understand that. But yeah, I hope it. I think it'll be better if it flops in the long term for the MCU because it's going to make them course correct quicker, which I
Yes,
think they're doing right now.
exactly. And we'll touch on a bit of that very shortly, but this is coming in even lower than some non-Marvel properties, right? Like there's been, 39 million, you're looking at less than The Flash. So just to give you an idea, and The Flash did horrible in in box office, right? So
Yeah,
now
I
look,
oddly liked it.
yeah,
I didn't
you
hate
liked
the
The
Flash.
Flash.
I didn't hate. I was walking in expecting to hate it, and
Yeah,
it was. I laughed a lot. I mean, it was entertaining.
yeah.
It wasn't. It was bad as everyone says it is. I'm not saying it's any work of art. It is not. But I was surprised that it was what it was. So
The baby in the microwave and the CGI just threw me off completely.
I forgot
Funny
about that.
moment. It is funny.
Yeah.
I get it, but they tried hard.
The CG, does that ruin it for you? Like when you're watching a movie and the CG is like not great,
A
it
hundred
just takes you
percent.
right out every
A hun-
time.
100%. Like if it
Wow,
looks like shit, it's just not gonna do it for me. I'm
it
just
just
like,
looks like shit. Yeah, I
yeah,
got you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that's not the case here because I mean they're gonna need to make up some money for CG costs.
Oh, dude, didn't they say this movie cost 300 million? It
Yes,
was like
apparently it was.
280 or 300. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it's one of the most expensive Marvel movies ever made, which is mind blowing because I thought maybe Endgame, right? With just that casting must be more than any movie made.
I don't
um,
think anyone knows what Endgame cost. I think that movie was 500 million. No one's telling anyone about that budget.
yeah, it
We've
has
seen
to be.
it. I mean, it's so big, and
Yeah,
everyone's in it.
yeah,
They had to pay up. It's crazy. Yeah, like
yeah.
the credit list is like 12 minutes long. It's crazy how many
It
people worked on
is.
that. Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not wrong. You're not wrong. But moving on from the Marvels, here is the big topic. Now, we'll get into a few topics at the same time while discussing this, but Daredevil Born Again gets apparently born again. News broke that Marvel Studios is going back to the drawing board with The Man Without Fear's first MCU set solo series. The show's writers and directors, meanwhile, have all been fired. Now, we just touched briefly, you did, on how, Marvel's going back to the drawing board here. Clearly, there's multiple things here that I see also taking place. One, apparently this was trash from what I'm reading online, from what they've seen in
Well, it must have been not good if they're doing this. Is a major thing to do to any show. Like it
exactly,
doesn't happen often, and I know that from experience. It does not happen.
exactly.
So wow. But I gotta say, have you read Born Again?
Of course, yeah, I have it.
I think I would say it's maybe my favorite storyline in all of comics. It is so perfectly cinematic. It is beautiful as a comic book,
Yeah,
it just stinks of something that would make a great film. And I have the sneaking suspicion that they were. It's like all the Phase 4 stuff. They went down to little avenues that no one cares about. It's like, let's go pay attention to this relationship over here and
yep,
the actual storyline. They're not doing stories, they're doing little relationships, it feels like. So
yep.
I don't know, but yeah, this is serious. I think I think this is a good thing. I think all this negative stuff, we're looking at it as a negative thing. I don't think it is. I think it's good. This is the course correction that we all want.
Exactly where I was headed.
Yeah.
Now, like I was mentioning earlier, just before, how the writer's strike and everything. Like, I feel like that also plays hand in what's taking place now within even the MCU. We're looking at things now, and I guess from a different perspective, we're watching a lot of shows that were put out through Disney Plus, some movies and so forth that just they stank. It absolutely stank. So I'm kind of, like you said, happy to see where everything's headed here. Course correction. I'm okay with delays as long as you get it right. Like, stop feeding me dog shit, right? So
Yeah. I just would love to see a phase 4, or I guess we're in phase 5 now. There's Marvel stuff I still watch regularly. Like when I can't find something to watch, I'll just throw in Endgame. For actually, Infinity War is literally a perfect movie in my eyes and
yeah,
worth every penny they spent on it. And
yes,
I can watch that movie 20 times in a row, and I've yet to see anything that even comes close to anything they did before in
yeah.
these new phases. So I just want to watch good stuff. And you're right. If this ends up being like that, if it comes out in 7 years, I don't care. I just want to see it eventually.
Exactly. Now it's funny you mentioned Infinity War being the best because for myself it is top of the MCU of all movies. So I 100%
Yeah,
put Infinity War at the top.
it's
Um
an amazing movie.
yeah, but apparently there's going to be some big changes with Daredevil headed, to the MCU. Apparently even Foggy is going to be dead. Maybe he's going to have ties to some Punisher stuff, so I have no idea what's going on. These are all rumors at the moment, but I mean maybe that guy
That's a
just
great way to start it, though. I mean, if you think about it, you started with like a revenge angle. He's already angry, or I imagine he would probably have given up or something after that. Like he's retired and he gets dragged back in.
yeah,
But the thing is, the Born Again is interesting because it's all about Kingpin dismantling him,
exactly.
and it's really, really vile, and that's what I want to see.
Yeah, so far anything MCU related that does tie to a title or an arc or whatever it may be from comics almost never even plays true to the comics. So I kind of feel like maybe we won't even get any of that cool stuff we got within comics within this right here. So
Yeah, you're probably right.
yeah, we'll see. But guys, that's pretty much it. That was the show. Chris, thank you so much for hopping on. I do want to say something to you that I was gonna save for after the show, but I'm gonna say it here. I'm more than blessed to have you on here tonight, not just because I consider you a friend and so forth, but we recently had a scare with you, and I count my blessings.
Oh yeah.
You reminded me when that happened that every day we cannot take for granted. And I'm so happy you're here. We got to talk comics and got to see you grow a beard. I haven't seen you with the beard in so long.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but thank you so
Oh,
much again.
laziness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, every day is a blessing. You need to take advantage of every day.
Yep.
But I love this, and I want to come on all the time. So let's hang up. I should probably do it. I have a channel too, Vancouver Comic Junkie. I rarely post anything because again I'm lazy. But we'll do something with you soon on there as well.
Anytime, man.
Really fun.
You let me know. I'll be there. And of course, same to you. Doors always open. Like I said, we do take things for granted. But before I go, I do want to give some quick shout outs. Yes, because Michael Baker, not Breaker, unless you want to change your name, brings up a great point. The Comic Kingpins tomorrow are going to be doing their 2-year anniversary show at 7 p.m. ish, I believe. So we're ironing out some of those details, but I'm going to be making my way back there too as well because it's the 2-year anniversary show. So much love to the Comic Kingpins. Looking forward to hanging out with the boys again. It's been a while, man. I haven't been able to go on the show in forever. So it's going to be fun getting together with the boys again. And of course, this Thursday, myself, Chiaped, and Anthony from Reference Point podcast are going to be on this channel, my channel, talking Loki episode 3 immediately after the show. So the show drops at 9. We go live at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time to break down everything that happened within the show. And like you said, Chris, you're enjoying it. It's a good
Oh
show.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kick ass. There was some
And
Easter eggs.
something that people aren't paying attention to? The set design in that show is
Oh fuck.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Like everything's gorgeous. And why is that show so gorgeous? And like all these other shows around it in the MCU, just I don't know. Like Secret Invasion is the ugliest show ever, and I don't know. I'm gonna go off. It's a tangent. It's the end of the show. I shouldn't do anything.
No, by all means, don't worry. I told you this is a hangout tonight. Don't worry about the rest of that stuff. But yeah, man. So Loki's doing great. You're doing great, which I'm happy about. You look great, so I'm happy to have you back talking comics. Thank you for bringing some of those VHSs at the beginning of the show. I totally.
Oh yeah.
I sent you a VHS. I forget which one.
I know you did. Casino. It was awesome.
Oh, Casino.
I have it.
Yeah, there you go.
Great.
But I'm curious to see what are the next ones you're looking to pick up, and of course your comics too.
For sure.
So everybody,
go to Vancouver Comic Junkie on IG, and you'll see me and all my garbage. It's awesome.
Listen, if that's garbage, that's some hot garbage. That is some very hot garbage. But all right, Chris, guys, chat. Thank you guys for hanging out, and of course, for those of you catching the replay, like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what you thought about the show, and I will see you guys this Thursday, and of course, next Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, Chris, thank you again. Everybody, have yourselves a great week.
Peace. Bye, guys.